Wall Street Journal front page talking about, once again, Donald Trump paring back tariffs as stocks continue to take a plunge, and they do continue to take a plunge. We saw, speaking of which, and this is fascinating. Elon Musk, certainly we all reported that Elon Musk making a ton of money when Donald Trump was elected and when he got in. But Tesla stocks have been down about 30%, 35% over the past month. And this business story in the New York Times talking about how a lot of owners are very concerned about that, especially in Europe. You have obviously he decided, I think unnecessarily, I think recklessly, to get involved, Elon Musk did, in German politics and push for the extreme right-wing party that has actually contributed to Tesla sales plummeting not only in Germany but also across Russia. Here, when you talk about what's the impact of tariffs, here you have Kroger that's talking about, warning about having to guard against massive price hikes. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the price of eggs, the price of meat, the price of groceries continuing to go up. And that is going to continue, certainly, while there's uncertainty around tariffs. And finally, the Wall Street Journal editorial page. Once again, they have a very strong editorial. OK, just keep it right here on this camera. I'm going to move it for you right there. Don't go back to the other camera till I put this down. You have, of course, another op-ed about real concerns regarding Ukraine. But here you have the Wall Street Journal editorial page saying that there is no emergency when it comes to fentanyl. There is no emergency when it comes to border crossings. Those numbers are significantly down. And they warned that if Donald Trump is allowed to do this, the Democrats will use similar emergency, and they put that in quotes, similar emergency powers to push extreme measures on the far left. And so a lot of back and forth, as you said, Mika, on many things going on, backlash against a lot of these programs. It's fascinating, and we have to always remember this. A lot of these programs are very unpopular with the American people. The idea of getting rid of the Department of Education, unpopular. The tariffs, unpopular. Very, very concerning for Americans. And you can go down that laundry list. Donald Trump, though, if you take the cumulative average of his approval ratings, he's still sitting about where he was the night he got elected. It's he's about 48. So right now, I don't know if those poll numbers where Americans have problems with his policies are leading indicators, or they just don't believe he's going to follow through on some of the more extreme things, which usually seems to be the case, where if you tell people what Donald Trump says, they go, he didn't say it. And then if you show them what he said, right, they go, he doesn't mean it. So we will see. And, you look at what's happened with Doge. He's gone back and forth on Doge so many times, whether Elon Musk is in charge or whether he's not in charge. And yesterday that changed again, I think, in one of the most significant ways.
Yeah, and back and forth on tariffs, which we'll get to amid growing backlash over the sweeping federal cuts by Elon Musk's Doge team. President Trump appears to be somewhat limiting the billionaire's power within the federal government. Yesterday, the president told his cabinet secretaries they're in charge of their own departments, not Musk. Trump said Musk's role is to make recommendations on staffing and policy. Following that meeting, the president posted on Truth Social that he's instructed his cabinet secretaries to work with Musk on cost-cutting measures. He later elaborated on that statement while speaking to reporters at the White House.
I want the cabinet members to keep the good people, and the people that aren't doing a good job, that are unreliable, don't show up to work, etc., those people can be cut. Elon and the group are going to be watching them, and if they can cut, it's better. And if they don't cut, then Elon will do the cutting.
Chris Matthews, I've always told people, if you understand what Donald Trump is trying to do in the White House, read the first 3 pages of The Art of the Deal, where he says, I show up at work, I pick up the phone, I make calls, kind of figure out how things are going. and I sort of feel my way through it. Well, you get that sense with Elon Musk. One day he says Elon's in charge. The next day his cabinet members call up and they're upset. So he goes, Elon's not in charge. He says it's State of the Union, Elon's in charge. Now he says Elon's not in charge, that it's the cabinet members that are not in charge. It bounces back and forth, but there are, of course, real consequences to that, especially for those people that are taking these cases to the courts. But for now, it does seem he's gotten enough pushback from cabinet members who are now saying, including people like Kash Patel, who he's very close to, are saying, this is my agency. I don't need this guy with a chainsaw telling me who's going to work for me and who's not going to work for me and how I'm going to reorganize my own bureaucracy.
Yeah, he's doing all this on television. Have you noticed? He calls the TV cameras in for the cabinet meetings. He's redirecting his cabinet officials, redirecting Musk. I've watched this guy use television like nobody's ever done. When he went up the other night on Tuesday night, talked to the American people and said, we're paying Social Security checks to people who are 160 years old. Anybody who reads an obit page knows that's not true. Anybody knows it's not 20. We're not spending 20 million people out there getting free checks. That kind of fraudulence is unbelievable. But he's telling the MAGA people out there, they're stealing your money. Don't trust these people in Washington. These are bad people. They are the deep state. He did it, he talked about the election being stolen. Nobody in America will tell you which states were stolen from him. All the MAGA people, get him in the corner and say, tell me which states were stolen in 2020. They can't tell you. He just told them that. He just said they were stolen. And with Zelensky on television, he said it was great television. I'll never forget that. It was great television where he beat up this guy on television, he and J.D. Vance, and they just did it in public. So we all know what Donald Trump thinks of Zelensky. He's teaching us. Don't trust Social Security so he can go after it. Don't trust Ukraine because he's going to go after Ukraine and diminish that country and its size and its importance. All because this is what Trump thinks. And that's what it's about. It is Mussolini. It's about believing the leader in what he says verbatim. And that's what Trump does on television. And he's using us to do it, using the medium.
So Gene Robinson, you tell me this, and Chris, this isn't my original thought. That Chris Matthews wrote me after the speech and said this. So Donald Trump stands up and says things that just aren't true. He talks about $350 billion to him. Repeats it over and over and over again. 160-year-old people are getting Social Security, right? That's not happening. But he says it, right? And here's the thing. If you don't know how to respond to a lie, as Chris has said, that's the biggest audience any politician's going to get. So Americans, what are they to think? Okay, well, I guess 160-year-olds are getting I'm sorry. I know it. Well, no, I don't. It's not harder than it looks because I've been in Congress. I can tell you, it's not harder than it looks. Where are the Democrats when he starts saying this nonsense? Why don't they get one person out there who can communicate extraordinarily well? Make it a meritocracy. Why can't somebody go up there, like Barack Obama would have done, or like Bill Clinton would have done, and just sit there and laugh and go, he says they're on. We used to do this all the time in Congress. Bill Clinton says this. Look, and you hold up a sheet. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Why can't Democrats do this? Why are there now millions of Americans who believe that, quote, 160-year-olds are getting Social Security checks?
Well, millions of Americans believe it, I guess, because Trump said it. And because you're right, it wasn't effectively refuted. And to do that, you need the right messenger. You need to figure out who that is. You need to get that person out fast, and you need to respond to the lies directly. And forcefully, and you need to do it repeatedly too. And you know, so there was a fire hose of lies in that address to the joint session of Congress. So you also have to pick your shots. I mean, it's not that effective if you try to respond to 270 lies all at once. But the big ones, like the Social Security stuff, which has completely been debunked. Of course, it's ridiculous, but it's also been disproved. You know, get out there on that, because you're right. He is telling people that this program is fraudulent, and that makes it evil, and therefore makes it vulnerable to attack. It makes it legitimate to attack it and to slash it. He does that very intentionally, and he does it very well. And Democrats need to find the right person and execute the right strategy, which is push back hard, fast, repeatedly.
Well,
you know,
and get people, Chris Matthews, that are eloquent, that can speak to both sides of their party and speak to Middle America. Like, you know, I don't know Richie Torres that well, but I've seen him on TV. Richie knows his way around TV. He's a very effective spokesperson. AOC also, she is center left. I understand that. But she also can speak to Middle America. Democrats need to get people, I'm just talking about on nimble. Facts, and knows how to be nimble. Ideologically, she's to the left. Richie Torres is a little center-right when it comes to Democrats. And both of them know how to communicate effectively on this medium. I mean, why don't Democrats do that? Because, again, as you've told me, you got Donald Trump saying that people who are 160 years old are getting Social Security checks, and Americans believe it because Democrats don't know how to rebut it.